And we are live again. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Today we're taking a break from the game dev. We're going to be working on another project. It's going to be just a rewrite of some of the Star Citizen tools that I've written in the past, which we're going to be rewriting in .NET. So we're going to start with the backend API and kind of work forward. I think I might actually jump on the Star Citizen, kind of like while we're playing. Or at least get it up to date. Yeah, so today we're going to be just kind of redoing some of the old, let's close out some of this stuff. Alright, so just for context, this is galog.co, this is my trading app. Right, it's used for buying and selling stuff in Star Citizen. And, you know, there's a lot of things needed to make it a little bit easier to use. And I am, you know, using a lot of .NET now in my day job. And it'd be really cool to get some of this stuff at least finished or, you know, brought over to .NET. So you're going to use a lot of the frameworks that I've used before. Right, like the 3 JavaScript, it's probably not going to change. I want to do some singular stuff, get some real-time updates. There's a lot of visibility stuff in 3 JavaScript I want it to do. And I also want it to do a .NET port of the front end in Godot. So using Godot as a front end for mobile. So we could add a lot more effects and stuff like that to it. So there's this project. There's also the SCDB, which I never really finished. They were all kind of supposed to merge together to create one unified system. That's one dev. Yeah, I think the dev site is up. But it's kind of old. Yeah, so there's a lot of these older projects that were being worked on. And I think moving into .NET 9 might be, you know, make a lot of this a lot faster. But also just from my own, you know, experience as like a full stack dev. So we could actually bring both of these kind of back to life in a more modern scenario. So it's mostly rethinking a lot of these tools, you know. There's also the looking, what's that looking good? It sounds like something, wait, looking gen get sounds like something's messed up. How's it going, Immortal Kid? It's probably just this repo. This hasn't been even open in forever, dude. This is all this stuff's ancient. Under the hood, cool stuff. on the front end. Terrible stuff. Oh, okay, Feud. The only time I've ever gone poking in my Git folder is because some reference is hosed. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, this is cool. Just taking a break from the game. I've got a lot of stuff done working on the game now. It's coming along great. I have the object container stuff working. All the netcode stuff with authority is now working. Like I've kind of like checked off all the boxes of all of the challenges that I needed to overcome architecturally. So what I've been actually working on, let me actually show you this real quick before we dive right into it. So this has been my latest tool, which is a lot of rewriting of Godot itself if you really think about it. But I need a way. Yeah, like the challenge is done and now there's just like 90% of the content. Right, exactly. Well, let me show you this tool that I've been working on. So early days, so I have an artist that I've hired that I'm gonna get them to be building station prefabs, like that's kind of like the start. So I wanted to build something that could integrate with Godot's ecosystem and all of Godot's tools, but would allow me like super crazy fast development. So yeah, now I can just like host a session. This is very basic right now, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and connect. And now I'm in. Now I'm into this little editing session. We have this full dynamic system, but check this out. I'm gonna go and load in a level that I've been working on. Now, there's nothing here but gray box, but look at the power of this thing, and everybody can edit, right? Rotate things, all the different prefabs, and what I'm working on with this, so let me just, right, distributed editing. So if I just start like making stuff, you know what I mean? And building away here, right? Right, like you can see this is all coming along. Throw in some area lights, you know. You totally get. But what I'm adding to this thing right now is the ability to connect online to the Galog API or the Unforgiven Space API and stream down assets. So there's asset streaming. So the idea is that an artist can commit to an LFS repo all the art they're working on, right? So they're just working in Blender, pulling stuff down from LFS, you know, working in Substance Painter, doing what they gotta do, push it all back. Right, you pull them right in. The object format is called a space object, and a space object is an encapsulation format, which means as far as networking goes, a space object has a type and it has a unique identifier that ties to the asset itself, but the game object inside it could have its own scripts. It could be whatever it wants. When the level gets baked, the space object drops the actual model into the scene where it would be. Right? And because we saved the level configuration of all of the collection of space objects, we can always go back. But once it's baked as a scene with sub-scenes, right? Then, so you need like a wrapper over FBX and like materials and convert to a space object. So there's a whole like interesting system because Godot is going to import all this stuff naturally anyway, right? It's going to bring in, it has a built-in FBX converter. Like this is just a Godot game, you know, instance, but it just happens to look like an editor because we need to, you know, we're in multiplayer. So we can do a lot of this, right? So the way this will work in the future is I'll bring the assets into Space Edit locally, and then I can push them. I can bake them, you know, locally, you know, push them up this way if I don't want to do the commit, you know. And then on the back end, you can receive them, push them in place, you know, do a local commit on the database. So I've been doing a lot of work on like optimizing studio workflow. Like I've created my own internal Forgio, like for Space Edit and for right now the Galactic Logistics stuff, right? But I've been playing around with actions. Like I have full dynamic server deployments now with like Nakama. Like there's a lot of cool stuff I've been working on now for deployments, you know, for Unforgiven Space. And like how all of this will kind of work, and I'll you know, when I get more into game dev, I'll show you. But I'm giving this 2 weeks, so this is a 2-week sprint, and then I want to give it to the artist and kind of get them using it. But I just need it streaming in assets right now. That's like the next big step, and then this is pretty much good for development. Right, so that leaves us more to. It's gonna find. Oh yeah, and it's meant to be like super simple. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It's so much work. Like even though I've created the studio workflow where they can log into the VPN, they'll have access to an SMB share, right? Like I've kind of organized a lot of the nuance away from the contractor, so the contractor has exactly whatever they need to be able to work, as well as like licensing and stuff for like Substance and like. But it's just getting it to the it needs to be quick, right? You'll have everything for third party to contribute. Yeah, because it has to scale fast. Like we have to scale super fast if we're going to be developing these prefabs in a way that kind of makes sense. And Unforgiven space is never going to be Star Citizen. So the idea is to build really great in-depth space stations, but that are modular enough. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's going to be quick, and also you're paying for any time you spent in this setup. Yep, right, so, it's going to take a bit. We have all these tools. We're going to go. So this is the CLI tool. Let's see here. CLI, it's been so long, man. Alright, so this is the Galactic Logistics. Yeah, apparently I don't even have to install. But I'm devoting a little bit of time to just kind of updating some of the gal log stuff. Because it's been neglected. But I'm really excited, dude. You should, I will show it off later. Like, if you get more Star Citizen players or interested in Galog, later on I'll pivot and I'll show off some of the stuff I've been working on with the object container stuff. Gotta make sure your pipped environment is in sync with the Python ecosystem for such a nightmare. I mean, for what I'm installing, I don't, I don't care if this is all global. This is just whatever's on my desktop at the time, but I'm mostly doing this. I'm doing in WSL, and in WSL I do have the different, environments. But I just want to see if this thing actually works with whatever the more modern version is. Yeah, there's a whole rabbit hole of what else is this thing? Man, how much crap do I have on this thing? Yeah, I don't really care. That's why this was never meant to be. This is going to become .NET as well. We're curious to see if it actually still works and still extracts builds. Probably doesn't even have half the stuff. Hey Fusion, how's it going, man? Where is Star Citizen? Work. That's good. I highly doubt it's here. Have you been playing SC at all, Fusion? I hope it doesn't ask where Star Citizen next. I mean, that's where it's asking. Oh, apps games. I don't think it needs the live folder. Yeah, where is Star Citizen? That's a very, you've been waiting to move house for nearly a year. No office or gaming rig, all packed up. Oh, that sucks. Okay. Like, I highly doubt this tool even connects to the database. 4.2. Oh, wow. Oh, it needs an old version of .NET. Really? This was in .NET 6? Let me get the 64-bit version. How's it going, Antics? We're doing it live, man. It's supposed to be, yeah. Because this version hasn't been unpacked yet. Did I actually open that in Edge or no? Sure. Let's install these ancient versions of .NET. Look at this guy, Pixius. We're doing Star Citizen stuff today. Oh, dude, nice. I gotta go poking around that shit soon. I'm working on some tool to generate the bindings like joystick charts. Oh yeah, cool. You could use so those default bindings are actually in the XML binary format. So if you just use Unforge, you could Unforge them to standard XML, but then you could also forge them back. Now I don't know if they changed that format because I worked on a tool to do that a long time ago. I just never released it. It was like I just got sick of having to deal with it. But definitely check that out. It's just the Unforge. You don't need the full like system. Hey, it still unpacks. It still works. Holy crap. Let's go. I'm on a killer development rig. Okay, while that's unpacking, dude, I'm gonna show you something. We're gonna do it. Look at this. Oh, so quick. Okay, anyway, I wanted to fork Allurian's original version of that and incorporate some threading. But anyway, that was ages ago. While that's doing its thing, I'm gonna go show you the zone system. Let's we're gonna check out the zone system here. You might like this. Might as well, because it's gonna take a while for it to unpack. And I'm actually curious. I'm actually curious to see, like, you know, if the Star Citizen tools still work, like what the deal is with them. You know, and we can play around with this just while we wait. Let me grab. Oh, dude, my game runs immediately fast. I want to show you something. So check this out. So this is the zone system. We have a host. We're going to connect. Now this does the whole separation. You're good content from my script, compelling dialogue. Hell yeah. So let's go connect with a couple of these dudes, right? So these guys all have a separate physics system, which means if I crouch, see the blue shadow? See, there's like a blue shadow, like a blue representation of them, which seems to be a little bit delayed. Okay, that's the physics version of themselves. That's a visualization of the interpolated physics version of themselves. We'll call it that. Right. So we're in the universe. We have a ship. You know, ship's going around. You kind of totally get, you know, what's going to happen here. How do I want to enter on this side? Now, normally in my game, obviously, I have gravity and UVA, all that shit. But, you know, in this demo, we don't really care about that stuff. So what I want to show you, we're just going to... There is a bug, right? The bug is inside these physics zones. There are walls that keep you in the physics zone itself. And you can kind of collide with them if you're not careful. But I'm now inside that physics zone. So I'm in my own simulated physics zone. So if I look at the player is completely stable inside that ship. Everything is completely fine. I can't wait to pull down this API and be absolutely confused. I'm still working on it right now. So let me go ahead and jump in with this guy. Look at this. Oh, next time around. Oh, it gets so crazy, dude. You should see, like I said, man, I have all the tech stuff, including like server meshing basics. Not server meshing, but like server, we'll call it like relayed, relayed independent systems. Look at this, right? This is perfectly stable. Yeah, it's for NPC. The idea is like a microservice can simulate aspects of the authority. Yeah, exactly, right? So there's a replication between them, like a relay in between. And it's all done by proximity, right? Because we're in a space game. So it's about a radial of space, right? That these systems kind of work on. So like here we are, we are in this system. It's completely stable environment. And if I go back here, I'm going to use the first one. So let me just make sure that I'm focused on this one real quick. And then we're going to go to game mode. We're going to go grab the camera, turn off the thing, move this down here. Okay, so we're going to leave this, and I'm going to come up here. So this is a representation of this physics zone system, right, for testing, right? So when I go back to this player, right, if we will turn off, oh my god, help me, yeah, not the editor, too many projects open there. And I can't hit escape, because escape is bad. Okay, I got it. So input to this one. Okay, so here we're controlling that other player, right? And as you can see, like he's doing his own thing here, right? Moving around. He is completely stable, right? His projectiles are stable. It's completely stable, and there's no way to escape it, right? Because the colliders inside the zone can be much more stable than the colliders that happen on what we call the active version of itself. So that's how that kind of works, right? And then of course, these guys are all fine. I gotta turn off the camera here and kind of get back into seeing it, but let me turn this off, turn this off, turn on input, turn off the camera, thank you. Right, so this is the, like I said, there's no gravity inside these zones, but this is now implemented, right, like in a very basic form, and just needs a full pass. So like, all objects need to have like kind of a little bit of a separation of concern with, their physics bodies and their actual selves. But the cool thing about it, Emerald Kid, when you're doing builds for like the client as an example, the clients now only need active versions of themselves, right? The physics is all happening on the server anyway. So you end up with like very light clients, right? Because all they need to have is like, animation trees, right? Their mesh instance, like things that are related, right? That just, literally just needs, wow, that actually worked. Right, animations, positions, it's all interpolated data, right? It's visual interpolation of and the other coolest thing, dude, that I can't wait to show you is the dynamic authority system, right? For now, I can have cargo boxes, multiple people can be influencing them. We can push things around, right? It's like which client has authority over the box on the server, same with ships. Right, ships now have dynamic authority. Anybody can take anyone's ship. You can jump in the co-pilot seat. You can jump in the pilot seat. All works. So it's super cool, right? So that's why I need a tool like level editors, and you know what I mean. Like there's a lot of work to do now to kind of get us, to the next point. So this, so this is now extracted. What? Did I not put a help? Okay, hang on. So we're built. Yeah, so TF items. I don't know. Carrot. Weapon. I just want to see if it'll find anything. Something terrible has happened to the connection. Oh, because, right, database is down. Right, so this tool used to be amazing. So this tool, like at one point, was populating this. Let me show you. Like this was never really known, but we used to have a sheet here. And this sheet used to have, this was where all of the tool used to dump things. Right, so one of the things I was working on with Galog before, working on my own game, well, like it was easy to push the raw data to a Google Sheet and have people be able to play around with it than it was to build up a lot of the class infrastructure first, right? Because you're mapping a lot of these DF items to their own classes, right? And a lot of it is raw JSON or XML to JSON. Like we would do XML to JSON, push it raw, right, with an ID, like a GUID, whatever the GUID of the item would be. But then we started, for the purpose of utilizing stuff, we start building up controllers and then building up like, you know, like gameplay logic, right? SIG zone logic as a thing. But like what I was working on is cargo, right? So these are the actual cargo containers that are inside each of the ships. This is from way back, right? But it all existed, right? So we have the total volume and the dimensions, right? A lot of these cargo grids are obviously still in the game. But I wanted to map all of the cargo volumes of each cargo grid to the ship in 3D, so that like the trading tool would not just take total SKU volume into consideration. It would take the literal SKU volume into consideration. So you could solve then all the container limitations, like how many versions of different containers fit a ship in the literal sense, right? Because you have each different volume, you know, each different volume size. So there's no, you know, and it's in the game. So super easy, right? Because then you're like Galog under the hood already did a lot of work to solve the knapsack equation of volume and you know, volume over price versus investment, you know, and it always worked with splits, right? That was always the point, right? Just none of yeah, right? But none of this actually really ended up mattering. Like it just never got into the game because, well, I didn't really care. You know what I mean? Like. But there wasn't a need to compete, you know what I mean, and offer these things. But you know, Star Citizen's growing, and we're now like the underdog, I guess, of trade, really, compared to like UEX and a few of the other, you know, org tools. But I'm a very competitive bastard, so you know, if I'm in an underdog position, then that's actually the best place for me to be, because I love being the underdog. You know what I mean? Like. I will copy and mimic every tool, right? I will make it twice as performant. I'll benchmark it. I'll unit test everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a while since I worked on trade information stuff. Gotta catch up. And you don't spend like, you don't spend like ramp up. Yeah, right. Discovering. Yeah, exactly. And we already have a ton of users and whatnot. Right, so how's it going, Alan? So we're also trying to get, you know, we're trying to uptick Galog activity as well. Like now that the game is going through like a stability pass, right? Like I'm pretty sure I'm still going to finish on Unforgiven Space before SIG is in a real released state, you know. And soon, once I get artists working on the game, I can kind of ramp back again, right? Because it's mostly going to be doing design at that point, and not necessarily code implementation. Like there's a huge Before Squadron though. I don't think Before Squadron's like, man, if Unforgiven Space becomes out before Squadron, then I need a refund. You know what I mean? Like Right, like I'm sorry, but Squadron should be a next year thing, and my game is not going to be done for 2 years. I use this tool at work. What tool? Insomnia. So I forked it. This is in Sodium. Using Sodium, and Sodium is the fork of Insomnia before they switched over to their payment bullshit. It's the same. Like, we have Postman for Enterprise, and like I don't want half of my shit online. You know what I mean? Right? Like, screw. Yeah, just not a fan. Right? I know, it's terrible, right? Like, and we have like our own like enterprise level, like we have a dedicated postman, like for work for my company. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's wild. So yeah, so this brings us to where we are, right? We have all these tools, we have the Galog tools, and apparently if the SCDB was actually online, all of this would work. This is actually all working fine. I'm actually curious, like, does it do global ships? Show DF cargo, DF cargo. It'd be nice if I actually knew what half the stuff was anymore. Trade ports. No. No. See, a lot of this is broke. I love how it says no one's going to help you. Like, why do I not have... Is it just menu for the menu then? Okay, so it does pull all the ships from the game. Yeah, interesting. I gotta really like figure out like where we left off with this tool. Yeah, finding a single commodity error. Widow. No. Yeah, lots of bugs. But hey, it works, it runs, it extracts data, that's kind of cool. But yeah, so, Galog has gone through 3 phases over the years. There was a view rewrite that was going to happen, but didn't happen. So here's like Galog dev. And there was things that I really liked, one of the issues that I hated about PHP was, although I made it really fast for a lot of cases, but generators and everything was like custom and made from scratch, and it doesn't have a lot of state. You know what I mean? Like I know there's like Ratchet and a few others, but you don't really get good WebSocket support. You don't get good real-time support. It's wonderful server side. Do what you got to do. But even with the API stuff, you're just continuously hitting it. You don't get this wonderful event source style, way of doing things. And it's kind of for a lot of sites, it's fine. Like if you're doing a lot of JavaScript in the front end, it's great. A lot of polling, right? A lot of polling, right? We get single-iron.net, so we can kind of do a bit more. And there's nothing like my goal with what I call galacticlogistics.net, which is going to be, I'm going to switch the domain for the time being. So it's going to be galacticlogistics.net in a literal sense. So that'll be the domain for it. Because we use this for a lot of our own tools, right? Like we have our own management systems where you can go in and join ships, right? We have ledgers that actually work based upon the profit that's being ran. Like, if I join... if I add an actual trading ship, to an operation that I'm running, and then I set trade routes on that ship, and then that ship literally, what I mean, like runs and buys and sells cargo, it keeps track of, the route plan. It keeps track of all the money made during that period of time. This mining page I have, I made a similar thing for refinery trackers. Probably comes up if you search for SE refinery tracker in Google. I'll take a look at that. Right, like that was I want to do some of the stuff that Rigolo does. Like mining was never like you know, super focus, and the game files never clearly kind of classified a lot of the breakdowns of things. Right, like it wasn't something I haven't found anybody in the org, you know what I mean? Gonna try living out my players, especially since we can QT to unmanned own ships now, so I can carry a fighter. Yeah, that's nice. And a jumper with me, leave my players in unmonitored space. Yeah, plus we're moving a lot of the numbers server side. That's the plan, right? Moving a lot of it server side. So it becomes more user submitted, right? And whoever is submitting the most data will ultimately have the better platform. So it has to be easy to submit data. So I've been doing a lot of AI stuff, and I'm pretty sure I can train an AI with the fonts used for, you know, SIG's stations, like for SIG's terminals. And it would do a better job at interpreting the data on the terminals than what, like, because I think it was 5 years ago we made a screenshot parser. I think it was with Tesseract. It wasn't like just OpenCV. I think it was either Tesseract or something else. And I think at the time we had found the fonts used, and we were pretty accurate back then 5 years ago, but we didn't have the location back then. Like, you know, in like display info, now you can actually see where the location is up here. So it's kind of easy now, right? Like to kind of parse and kind of put it all together. But it's you know, like we didn't really have that luxury. Like I'm pretty sure the repo. I'm pretty sure the repo for that still exists. I have too many damn repos. Is it Galog Intel? What was this one? Was this one? Nah, too old. Always gotta have a readme, man, for these reasons. But listen, we don't do readmes, okay? The readme is not a readme, but cause this is one. Yeah, no, this was something very basic in the early days, and not it. I've had so many repos and go like, what the hell? Yeah, I know. Like, I have 50 repos here, right? From like, you know, my Godot. Yeah, I don't. It would have been a long time ago. It's like Rav deck. My fork of Unpack, Star Citizen DB from Malagos, Citizen Sync. Oh yeah, I forgot I wrote that. Yeah, I think that was what I was doing originally. I think I forked. I think a lot of the original research came from Elite OCR originally. And how Elite OCR was doing their screenshot shape scanning. Hey, 28 Raiders from Settlex, welcome. Hey, Warstone Studios. You're in the Star Citizen category today, boys. We're going over some of the old Star Citizen tools that I wrote, and updating some of them. We're doing a .NET rewrite of a PHP app. Ooh, nice. Yeah. This is like a little side gig for today. So we're in the Star Citizen category, starting the process of porting what will be all of this PHP code, which is, you know, not super exciting, you know, but, you know, something. Right, so like a lot of the old PHP, a lot of the old API stuff was even before we had like strict types. I support this initiative. Well, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, right? So just the context again for, right, like we have, this is my old, let's move this over here. I don't know, dev bug outline. Right, so this is my trading page. Right, and it has, you know, pretty much all the information on ships in Star Citizen, and it's used for trading. So you can go and pick a ship and give it some money, and it'll tell you, you know, what to buy, you know, where to buy it, and how much money you'll make. That's the idea, right? And it also shows you different grouped commodities that you can group depending on how much cargo hold you have in your ship. And so it solves the knapsack equation to help you, like, you know, buy and sell goods in SC. That's its job. Right, it's the first project, right? So I'm in. You probably don't want to use my whole E for this. Let me fly. Alright, so it's a whole little trade port, like trade, you know, trade management system, where we can just go and buy cargo and fill up our ship. You know, and then go sell it somewhere. You know, unload it. And it just keeps track of, you know, all the transactions and how much profit we made, and that's how it works, right? Front end is Fomatic, so the front end that we're using is, at the time, was Fomatic. Wonderful, wherever they are. Hi. Right, so this is Fomatic, and it supports theming. Really nice. I mean, I think nowadays we're all using Tailwind and a few others. There's many other CSS languages, but I found this to be a really wonderful language on the just the naming convention of CSS itself. Like, just, oh man, like using this made a lot of sense. Like, you know, a UI checkbox. Like, everything is semantic in naming convention, which makes it very easy to, like, you know, kind of add things. Right, and so that was the you know, the recipe. I don't know, I wish their dark mode was actually dark mode. Their dark mode's terrible. But all based on, you know, theming support, all the different components. And for a lot of stuff, this was pretty good. It's probably going to need to be changed. This stuff helps a ton. That's why I've been enjoying Blazor, at least the class libraries. I've seen. What have you been doing with Blazor? That's right. So we can still use, or you can use anything with .NET. You know, I mean, it's just a front end. Front end can still be Vue if we want it to be. But it's, you know, porting a lot of the, you know, these APIs. This is V1 of the API, like all the operations. Right, just a lot of PHP, get missions, you know, just, you know, all prepared statements. Just building my dashboard and utility now. I'm also working on a custom chat viewer thingy, and that's been going decent. Nice. Right, so that's been that's been my biggest, like, you know, takeaway. Right, is the fact that I've moved the .NET, you know, pretty much officially for all of my projects, but yet we still have, like, the older projects, you know, that exist, that need to be updated. You know what I mean? They need a little bit of TLC, and they, you know, they work really well for. Oh, I say as it breaks. Let me go to dev. Yeah. So yeah. This will be nice. It'll be nice to kind of give this a fresh coat of paint, you know, and especially for our own use, right? Like, you know, getting a lot of the operation stuff ported, so we can start using it for ourselves. and a lot of the tools and events and things like that would be neat. Right, all this was supposed to be, you know, was supposed to be a part of this other project. Yeah, I was looking at EF Core versus Dapper. I'm assuming you're using EF Core for a lot of your... What are you using for databases and stuff like that? Thanks for the follow. The IF. I don't know why the Twitch alerts and the overlay sound like crap. I think they need to be reloaded. They sound like crap last time too. Right, but anyway, bit of web dev wouldn't hurt. Right, so we have, like, you know, all the JWT stuff, like all this stuff needs to be kind of ported over. So we started off kind of we're going to be using .NET 9. We'll go a little bit more modern. I don't know if you've seen have you seen the replacement for Swagger? It's called you haven't? Scalar. I have a test API using it. I mean, hell, I'll actually get it working. So Scalar itself is like a product solution, but they themselves create an open API specification testing tool, which is built in. Oh, dude, this is crazy. This generates code for you and everything. Like, it has every language. We'll do it. We're gonna vibe code some of this because a lot of this I don't remember. You've used it at work, the Scalar stuff. If you're using a lot of .NET 9 stuff at work, how do you find it? Like, is there, like, if you're building anything now, super new, are you mostly using .NET 9, or will you kind of stick to .NET 8? Open API, like TypeScript shit, like an open API to a Java client. Oh, okay. So a lot of your backend stuff, more located, is pretty much a lot of JavaScript or TypeScript in this case. Hey, crazy cowboy coder. You like my super secret JWT string? These gamers are cooked with their web-based language for backend stuff. Dude, I'm not touching it. I'm too old. It'll be .NET forever on the backend. I don't know. There's something weird about, like, compiled Babel TypeScript to JavaScript running, you know, for backend services. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's fast. I'm sure it's performant. I'm sure you could work quick, and that's the big thing, right? The big takeaway. Just work fast, run, you know. But I don't know, man. You know, maybe I'm just old, you know. Yeah, so let's get this thing updated. So this was originally using, okay, no, we are using .NET 9. We're going to switch. Why is this one actually in pre-release for .NET 9.0? All right, let me, curious. Oh, because it is in preview for MariaDB. I don't like the fact that it's in preview. That's the other issue that we have too, right? Is we have we're not changing the database right now. Too much work. Database too big, right? Look at this thing. Look at the database of Galilog. Let's just go into this thing real quick. Look at this. Look at how many tables. You know what I mean? There's everything. There's everything from ships, loaner type. Like it's just crazy. The sheer amount of you know, trade data. And my eyes. I'm sorry. Is there like, hang on. Is there like dark mode? Can we be rescued? Dark reader. Let's go. Thank you. Right, so kind of doesn't make sense, right, to port a lot of the, you know, like, yeah, like in the future, sure, I'd love to go Postgres. I think Postgres would benefit us greatly on the JSON side, right? Like I know MariaDB does support JSON types. You know, I have I dealt with a lot of it when I was making the SCDB stuff. But, you know, it's just too much work, I think, to go ahead and port the data. So scaffolding kind of gets thrown out, you know, migrations kind of get thrown out, at least for now, because we're not migrating anything. The data already exists. So that's like the problem, right? Is how do we migrate this thing, right? And my solution, at least so far, has been, well, you know, let's just connect to the old database, right? Let's you know, let's build some DTOs, right, for a lot of these abstractions where we're pulling just a list of trade ports, you know what I mean? Like where we don't really need the full trade port modal because that has a whole bunch of logic to it, right? In PHP, we have arrays for a lot of that, right? We're using PDO, we're bonding to arrays, we're just feeding it back to an endpoint. But you know, there's not a lot of modularity to that, right? Like it's kind of just need modals, right? We want it to be quick, right? And one of the things that enables Galilei to be super fast is very light data structures, right? We're not creating a massive trade port controller that has a list of trade port modals, which then has like all their commodities, and then there are huge giant classes of, right? So we can use DTOs to kind of simplify data structure and kind of, you know, build things up similar to how they are in the PHP ecosystem. We can convert a lot of stuff that we're using more frequently into like memory-oriented services. So we can just, you know, if we're, you know, pulling, like these are things we couldn't do in PHP, right? Like if we're just pulling commodities all the time. Every time someone's pulling commodities, right, we're always making those queries on behalf of the user. But in like, you know, an actual, you know, like system where we're running in memory and we have state, right, there's a lot of caching that we can kind of like leverage. There's a lot of things that we can do to keep memory utilization. Like when I'm solving the knapsack equation in PHP, I have to take every probability of trade route, right? It's n to the power of n, right? When you think about it, for every trade port of every commodity, we need to go to every other place that can buy it, and you're doing that, you know, cyclically. So what we end up doing is taking every trade port and every trade port commodity and building an in-memory n-tower n, right? We're building an in-memory structure because there can only ever be that. And everything else is a combination of doing a lookup in that tree, right, of all data, right? So you end up with a table of like, say, 9,500 probabilities, right, of groups of trade ports that have commodities and what they buy and what they sell. And then all you're doing then is you're going over that same memory address as you're multi-hopping, right? As you're multi-hopping, you're not actually doing the query. You've already pulled like a single pass of those probabilities, and then it becomes very quick. But, you know, that only scales so far, right? That only scales, so you have to kind of, you had to start building kind of like ABA or what would you call them? Like, you know, for every star system, we only want to link to the other adjacent star systems, like a grid-based system, right, or a node-based system. Think like A star, right? Where, right? So when you're doing trade routes in future, where you're trying to solve the problem, like more complex n-tower n problems, the data gets a little bit more complicated when you bring in other star systems. And interestingly enough, and the whole, you know, back when I was designing Galilog was never designed for a one star system. It was designed for there to be 100 star systems. So hopefully a migration of all this stuff would be very interesting, because I'd be very curious to like build up some unit tests and like create like a mock, you know, right? I think now we got to design it for 5. Yeah, because there would be 5 star systems out. Nix is done. I assume Nix is done at this point, right? I assume Nix is done. I'm assuming we're probably going to get. Well, we know cache is close. I can see a lot coming, right? So we gotta think about something to think about. But I need to get Interesting Ally going too, because it's a bit of work to port a lot of this stuff over. Right. So, but you know, like it's going to be really interesting to kind of just see, you know, where things are. But this is very primitive. Like, just it works. It connects to an API and pulls some data. I want to move this test response and stuff like that into. Yeah, and there's a lot more stuff that we need to kind of do. Anyway, I'm just chatting. We're just gonna chat and code for like a couple hours and think about like how we want to kind of approach some of this stuff, because it's going to be like a lot of it's going to be kind of raw. Yeah, I think I'll go to Grok. I know you've been using a lot of LLMs, man, but Grok has become so good for this stuff. Let me see. No, ChatGPT. No, actually, I find Grok much faster. Because it has a lot more context. It's ridiculously quick, I find, right, for setting this stuff up. I say this and then it's like, doesn't really. No, it's a scalar value, fool. What's it actually called? What's the implementation called? It is scalar. I mean, I paid $20 for that thing and use projects to manage my stuff. I've used a lot for my current game. Yeah. Are you using Copilot a lot too? It's called Scalar, right? Open API. Hang on, I gotta find it. Because there's Swagger. Where was the new one? Right, Redoc and Scalar, and the Scalar. Use Scalar, this one. No, I just asked ChatGPT what I need and like implement it. I try not to have it give me code, just like high level tips. Yep. Yeah, it's crazy like how much stuff I've been able to do at work, utilizing this stuff. Go back to line. It's like, hey agent, do this thing and I'll see you in 2 minutes. Or 10 minutes. We use windsurf. What's windsurf? I've never even heard of windsurf. I don't know why. Why did you wrap this up in this static? So add controllers in the builder. Add open API, add authority, add controllers. Don't think it matters. If application is in development. What's the open API package? Install the swashbuckle. Why don't we copy this? Go away. Oh, it's scalar.asp core. Okay. So we don't really need the other one installed if we're going to use scalar. Let me remove it. Yeah, we'll install the other one. I'm really curious how fast I can actually like finish porting this. I don't think we need the open API. Especially with AI, like how fast can we make this? Right, install Descaler, which is fine, but I think OpenAPI itself also needs this one. Yep. For the auto documentation for OpenAI. There we go. So we'll add OpenAPI. And I think the controllers need to be added anyway, beforehand. And then we'll just do our, after our build. Oh yeah. We'll just do... Alright, so if our environment is in development, which uses hosting... Oh, that was the Swagger one. We don't want to use a Swagger one, we want to use Scalar. I've seen, at least for me at least, it's all, okay, I've seen, at least for me at least, it's good in small scopes. Like show me how to like sort this data or have it transform. How do I apply quaternion to make it look like X? I don't know, it could probably, yeah. I could see that. So if we're in development, map the OpenAPI, and then map the Scalar reference. And then we'll use Scalar, what is it? Also, DM me for the Bob book. Oh yeah. Also, yeah, forgot about that. Yeah. So why no? What are we missing? So sometimes it doesn't know shit. What is the namespace for Scalar? Because it's not that ASP, netcode, Scalar. Scalar is an open source interactive documentation, which is free, we know. Right here. I'm just blind. And it's installed, so I don't know why it's complaining. Okay. Alright, so that is done. I'm not running it, what do you mean? Catalog API is already running. I didn't run it, fool. Unless I debugged it. Open by what? Do I have another... This one. We're just like not shut down apparently. scalar v1. No. It will be nice if we learn to read a documentation. Scalar v1. To automatically launch Scalar, add this to your browser preferences. If you don't really care, that's fine. Did I just spell it wrong? No. It's obviously finding it. Application Scalar did not respond. Middleware is not being handled. Get Scalar response code 404. Right, use mapper controllers. Do the build, if we're in environment, add open API, and then run. Maybe things happen after we map our controllers. Okay. No, it's not Scalar v1. What are we doing different? Right, web builder, this is fine, this is fine. .NET build. Take advantage of Spectrum. It's an open source API documentation linter can be incorporated in the app to build and verify the documents. Enable document generation at build time. Scalar.net example. So install the package using Scalar, map open API. If using .NET, we're not. Configuration options, authentication. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, once we add open API, we just set map scalar API reference. Add the using, configure the application. Add controllers, add the API, build, use authentication, authorization. It's there. Does it happen before it's built? No, because the app doesn't exist yet. Redirects the trailing scalar to scalar, ensures that the relative path is generated and HTML is correct. SCALAR. You would think that would work then. And profile is available. SCALAR. if environment is in development. Yeah, it's weird. It should be working. Map scaler. Unless it's under API scaler. Maybe one. No. Oh, unless it's secure. Hang on a second. I wonder if it's locked down. No. For simple API key features, you can provide a token from Open API specification. Cool. Yeah, even without that though, that's fine. Bearer token, username, password. Right, getting started. Right, and it's there. Scaler for 1.2x. Compatible with all frameworks. We're fine. So weird because I did have this running before. Anyway, let's set up. Tradelets. Speed up 5 is not allowed. Connect this MariaDB server. Right. I never actually set up. Okay. Test site. Let me move this down here real quick. Asteron, I don't know if you've seen space edit improvements this week, but man, it's getting there. It's coming along. I was showing it off earlier on the stream to Immortal Kid. I need to incognito mode here while I enable access to this dev rig to the MariaDB. Just gotta create a new user for it. Let me add it to my environment. You're back again for a minute. Figured anything out? Yep. Getting there. I just gotta get this thing actually just working. What did I just do? How did I just pull that out? Okay, so it works. Yeah, the issue is like it's scalar should be working right now, but it's not mapping. And I think it's the way the I gotta actually put a landing request here. Copy this one for the next stage. Why is this under a Galvanic controller, not the trade port controller? All of this is under the trade port controller. What? Anyway, let's just move this. Trade port controller. Space. Controllers. Extending NBC. Framework core. We're going to change this. So this will be the trade ports task. And then for this. Set up our API controller. Put it on trade ports. And then Git itself will just be Trade ports. Okay, yes, we can move it. But I do want that to be the root. So what is the method? I think we can just do this. Yeah. And then this one will be for the trade port itself. Let's get a lot of this stuff broken up. Trade port controller, ship controller. It's kind of the same, kind of not. Switch back to 16.9 so you guys can see this is your ship controller. So grab our context, get ships, which will have our ship response. And a lot of this is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to be lazy, do it with like the all from ships here. We'll do a lot of this refactoring of this stuff later. Where do I put these responses? There's a public record for user credentials. I can go in helper class. Where is that response? Here in Galog context. Right, because so for the modal building, this is okay. So these are going to be our DTOs actually. So this will be right. So this will be our trade port. So let's do namespace DPO. So namespace. What's called Star Citizen Trade Port? Where does it get that? Modals, DTOs, Trade Port, DTO. And then in our context, grab this, so modals. Trade port. So there will be a trade port model, but it'll be for all the functionality and business logic. So Galog API models. A lot of this is going to have some similar data, but that's fine. Ship. We'll write fast, don't worry. Let's go. So timer, ship. Oop, no context right now. Ship response. And this will be trade port response. Will actually be the DTO for trade ports. So on the model creating for the model builder for this, I want this to be the DTOs. Same thing for this. So trade ports in the context here will be just using a collection of these DTOs. Same with ships. We'll, and then so the trade port response. Yeah, so I don't know how I want to do my API responses. I don't know. For now, liquid models for the API. We should be using file scoped. Convert to block, sure. Man, I've been unpacking this data.p4k for like 30 minutes. Don't unpack it all. Add properties to it. So in the so what you can do, let's go. Let me show you. Because if you want soul packs, because soul packs themselves are the levels, and you have to unzip the soul packs, right? Like they are the object containers. There's a lot of things you won't need, especially if you only want the the P4K file, like if you only want data forge or data core, whatever you want to call it itself. Let me go in the GLI real quick. Oh, apparently I opened the Git directory. That's what it was. I was like, what the hell? Like, open folder. Hello. Just GLI. Yeah, here. So when you're unpacking, go away. No one cares. Thanks. You can specify. Yeah, so you can actually specify as a launch parameter what type of files you want to extract. I just want the data forge, I think. So you can just do XML INI, right? If you do XML INI, that gives you globals, because you need to map globals for all the names. And just the XML, right? As a generalized one. Now we do have an unpack all manifest for the images, right? Like SVGs, TIFFs, and there was a bunch of stuff I was doing for SOPACs, right? So for SOPACs, we actually have our own version of 7-zip, the command line compiled version of 7-zip. So you can actually go and automatically unzip your SOPAC files. So like when you're walking through, just you know, set your for 7-zip your you know, your path and your XML, you know. Anyway, this helps. Because that's your level data, like your object container data itself, if you want to know, like, because we need it SOPACs for some of the shop location configurations or something like that. Oh man, anytime, dude. That's what I love. Like I love promoting competition. I've never gave a shit about sharing code. I just love having someone to compete against. You know what I mean? Like I love the fact that UEX works now, and that we have like SC Trade Tools is slowly trying to do, you know, data submissions, right? They're trying to become more like the way Galog was. So it's such a wonderful like landscape now of competition, right? Which is fantastic, because my relentlessness is like very high. So I think it's, you know, that like yeah. So if you ever need anything, you know what I mean, just let me know, right? Because there's a lot of things we've done over the years, you know what I mean, and you know, if anything that we figured out is at your disposal, right? Yeah. So now, Rev streaming SC. I'm working on Galog tools, man. Working on version 2 of the Galog API. Oh, and apparently we're breaking shit. What the fuck's happening? What do you mean? What's happening? We're .NET rewrite Galog. We're getting rid of the PHP. We're taking a break. We're doing some PHP today. Maybe we actually do .NET build actually before I run it. I like the Swagger stuff working. What did we broke? Rev, abandoned your game. I haven't abandoned the game at all, man. Haven't abandoned the game at all. What are we doing? Ingot ships. The request for trade force response code in the routing of get ships default span candidate internal. Why? Wait, what? Context. Model creating model here for the DPF. Maybe we do need to do the model for. I'm not really ready for the ships thing. I kind of just. Ship detail. Maybe. Oh yeah. Maybe I actually do have to put this in the builder, even though. How's everything going, Bob? Just close out unpack tools. Care. Because it's still running. I swear it's like I do have 2 copies of this running somewhere. Do I? I do. What the hell is that other project? It's like it's so weird. It's like Control C like doesn't kill it when I have another. As for the connection, I handle strong by application for matching the input. Doesn't match. Get your controller, forget chips. Alright. So trade ports, let me duplicate this again. Ships. This should give me a 500. Tools don't need to be fat. We push this and trade port controller. Oop. Select all from chips. So let's get the beaver going here. The beaver. Which I should have installed. I don't know why it's not showing up here. The beaver. Where is it? Did I not install it? Apparently not. See compatibility, dbeaver. Download Windows installer. Community edition, sure. Media's fine. Do 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 do. Good old Java. Yes, thank you. Don't share data. No. New database connection. MariaDB. Catalog. Download the driver. So let's take a look at ships. Okay, so these are all our ships. So ID, slug, and name. And image should be fine in that context. Just want to make sure I can read it and we can actually... So this is what we'll be doing on the side. You know, this will be our little side project. I have a few more developers actually working on this. We'll port the API, the .NET first, and then we'll port the back end of the site to Blazor. We'll still use Fomatic for the front end, so it'll be like just kind of lifting away from the PHP, because a lot of this is going to be implemented with the API anyway. We don't, you know, like the front end doesn't really matter, but just slowly getting rid of the PHP would be, you know, the goal. So we should be able to pull ships now in a ships context. So what are we getting on, let's get rid of this zone edit thing. So ships, it's giving us 500. Because our routing doesn't match. Our endpoint Y, ships controller, oh, maybe. We are, let me change this to scoped, block. API route ship controller. That should be the get. That's our task, bringing our ship response. And we should be returning a ship response. Yeah, that should be our list of ship DTOs from ships. ID, slug, and name. Oh, yeah, okay, I see why. Because they're not going to match. Can't be too lazy. Yeah, we can't really do select all from chips. Ship controller get ships. Inner default selector for routing. ID name slug image. Debugger man. Set a breakpoint. I mean, it's just going to bring me there. It's just going to be like in the ship. I mean, it tells me in the ship controller, but right here, and this, we're matching the this return type on the select. So we do ship controller on our ship response. So let's see what we actually get here. Boop. C# launch. And it's, oh my god, because I'm still running to see what thing. Okay, never mind, stop. Go away, it's fine. Cancel in the terminal. Shutting down. Debug. You'll see here once we run and we hit the query, right here, this response model. What do you mean you finished? You didn't finish. Right, there's a connection ID. The request matches multiple endpoints. The request. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Never mind. I'm an idiot. It's literally. Brr. I had a prototype here. Right, an authorized endpoint for ships. Right. Which I'm just going to comment there because I do want some of these to be an authorized endpoint, so I'll leave it there for examples that can. Then we'll run. I'll just do a run. We won't debug it. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's just do it that way. And then we'll send ships. What do you mean you can't connect? Oh. What do you mean? Why are you not? No problems. Thank you. Was there an error this time? Right. Unknown column ship.id, because it's ship ID. When did you decide to fully commit to Galog Void merger? A while back. When me and Epic talked about it. Yeah, because this is not actually called it's ship ID, which is annoying. Yes, 100%. Right, so all of these are not errors, they're just binding issues. This is the issue that I don't like, right? Is you know, we don't really want to be doing queries, right? Like, but some of this old data kind of needs to be, you know, that it's all snake case, right? And I don't want to rename it, you know? It's which is annoying. Right, so we get our ships. So really this is it, right? It's just going through and creating the different DTOs for like the lists, and then the different classes for the until we get 1-to-1 with the PHP. So this is going to be yeah, let's go back to the program. So we're really going to be v3 as root. Right, so now if we just adjust this, it should be v3 trade ports. Although, if I do a main route, can I do a base of all? Hang on, how do we... Because I don't want to have to go and set these routes. Because that's annoying. So how do we set a main... Is there like a base route? Base route is root, or do we have to? Is it use base path? Maybe? I don't know. Let's figure it out. This is going to be a quick AI test. Because that's got to be easy. Map controllers with route prefix API. Or use a common base route in all attributes. No. Map controllers with a base route prefix. Oh, that's add controllers. Wow. Map controllers. Map controllers. With base path v3. What? With route prefix. Is it wrong? Is that not right? Map controllers. Because they are set with your routes. Never mind. Map group API map controllers. Is it just V3? I don't know. Let's find out. It is. Okay, good. All right, so V3 pretty much begins. Let me commit that. Edit default V3 for all inputs, i.e. frequency. So we can kind of deviate from the V1. What do you mean? That's file scope. What's it complaining? Oh, because it's called galagapi.net. It is file scoped. So that'll be authorization controller. We'll take care of that. We'll get rid of the ships. We'll move this, obviously. Move it to app settings. It's gonna be expression body. Just primary constructor. Yeah. So we do want to do some. Yeah, and that should be trade ports response, not. Why does it want me to call it galagapi.net? Can I rename the project? Is it gonna freak out if I rename it Galactic Logistics API.net? Because they are, it is file scoped. and using blocks. I don't know, it's weird. This would be trade ports response. Yeah, I think I need to change the project name, but anyway, whatever. Wow, see, this is why I like Copilot. That's not, like, none of that's irrelevant. Maybe the ID, but still. So for the trade board itself, can we get into the PHP code? So for the trade port, we're gonna feed this in the Grok and it's gonna convert it. Cool. Alright guys, it's like almost 12. I'm going to end it here. There's a little brief, glimpse into some of the Star Citizen work that we do. And this is now like fully, kind of ready to be worked on with a bunch of other people. So this will be the new API. So we'll get this up. This time around, I want to actually, I got what I wanted, man. Thanks so much, dude. It's all perfect. Amazing. I'm curious, man. Like, I want to get back into space trucking. You know what I mean? I want to get back into playing some SC. Like, it is the only game that I play other than working on Unforgiven Space. Yeah. And in reality, I think if we kind of got back into it, we started like competing in the Star Citizen space. Maybe we just get more eyes on Unforgiven Space. You know what I mean? Like more eyes on my game, more supporters of the game. So we'll kind of get into the actions of this stuff, and we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna end it here. We're also live on YouTube. Go check it out YouTube, youtube.com/revere. I'm gonna stop.